time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Bill Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
It's about playing and executing your plan. Can it help you in preparation for the week? Maybe. But I think our guys are aware that very few people have believed in our team for months now. It's not just one game or 1 week. You know, we talked about it a little bit way back when. But for us, it's more about us believing in ourselves.
Regardless of who you're playing, if you defend at a high level, which, contesting shots, getting back in transition D. The second thing is rebound the first miss. Now, those are going to be challenging because those are things that Auburn do well. And then take care of the ball. I think we're fourth nationally in ball kill. We don't turn it over. So if we can do those things, at least we give ourselves a chance.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Good to be back with you after being away for about, 22 hours or so. Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes, along with Brian Leonard, once again from our beautiful downtown Learfield studios in Chile, Columbia. Good day to play football, which Clemson is doing indoors. They're a big scrimmage of the spring. The big scrimmage before the spring game in a few weeks. Their last practice before they go on spring break. That's been going on this afternoon. Should be wrapping up right about now. And Dabo will be talking with reporters, and we'll get some of that to you later on in the program. We'll also hear from USC offensive guard Zach Bailey tonight as we talk football. Of course, plenty of basketball talk as we continue with the first four tonight. The last two games of the first four. Texas Southern against North Carolina Central, and Syracuse against Arizona State.
Go Sun Devils.
Yeah. Syracuse. Do they deserve to be in?
No.
From what I saw, they did not.
They do not deserve to be in.
But they got in. That's where subjectivity really rises to the top. You got a Hall of Fame coach. You've got a blue blood program. They were just good enough to not be bad.
Well, you know what it proves to me, Corn? It proves to me that those last four we talk about with those last four at-larges, they really don't have much business being in the tournament because you can poke holes in all of them. And that's why I don't understand why so much of the discussion goes into, who's in and who's out, who's in and who's out. It really should be something that we look at very simply. Is this team capable of winning the NCAA tournament or not among the teams who are the at-larges? You don't talk about that when it comes to the automatic qualifiers because a lot of them are in one-bid leagues that really don't have any business of winning the tournament, but it's a nice boost for them to get in. No one in their right mind thinks Syracuse has a chance to win the NCAA tournament. Not even anybody in the state of New York has any clue that they're going to make that happen.
But then again, the problem with that is sometimes you give the team fuel, and I think Syracuse used that for fuel the last time it got to the Final Four when everybody said they don't need to be in. And our argument was they still shouldn't have been get in. They were playing with house money.
Right.
All right. Our phone number is 800-956-7266. I know we have not allowed a lot of time for phone calls this week and even last week with our coverage of SEC, ACC tournaments and now heading into the NCAA tournament. We will do that here tonight, 800-956-7266. Lee Sterling will join us, 6:45, to give us some thoughts on the NCAA tournament from where he sits. And you know where he sits is near his bank account. So he'll share some thoughts on that with us. SC Wild tonight. It is an SC Wild night here on Sports Talk at 7:30. The captain, Billy Downer, will join us to tell us what he's doing during these cold days of March in the great outdoors, how this is probably confusing all the wonderful animals out there.
Not good for the wildlife.
They think it's spring, feels like winter, and then when it should be winter, it feels like spring.
Good for the peaches, though.
Things
peaches
are kind of messed up.
those chill days.
Do you think they're messed up by the whole daylight savings time thing, too?
No. I couldn't tell you. I think it was going to be cold regardless. I think it's messed up by the nor'easters. The nor'easters that are pounding the northeast, they're still getting a bunch of snow up there. Especially up in the Boston area.
No thanks.
All right, baseball this afternoon. We got games ongoing. South Carolina has a 7-3 lead on Harvard in the bottom of the fifth. The Gamecocks scored 2 runs in the first, another in the third, and just had a 4-run fourth inning, 7-8-1 for the USC team. They've left 4, 3-6-1 from my alma mater. They have left 8.
They need your bat.
Well, I've donated bats to them from my high school days, some old wooden bats that I had sitting around.
I thought make sure
they warmed up. I warmed them up for them.
A couple RBIs for Madison Stokes. He's had a good day for South Carolina. The two Chapmans kind of got them through the first couple of innings as well in the pitching staff.
And it's Coyne on now for the Gamecocks, who he's gone 2/3 of an inning. Gamecock pitching has allowed 4 walks. They won't be happy with that. 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. Clemson last night shuts out Charleston Southern. And how about, well, first of all, they got really good pitching. But then Bird, their third baseman, had a big night. 3 home runs, all 5 RBIs.
It was amazing.
Tigers are 16-1. They've got NC State coming in for 3 this weekend.
You know, it's weird. He's a guy who that's like a bonus guy. If you can get him going, that's somebody that, you know, you can really have as a threat. And I know that it's a midweek game, so it's hard to kind of judge the competition there, but anything to get you some confidence. And really, it was a night where they needed it because really they weren't getting much done with the bats anywhere else. So they needed his offense. And, you know, they got the pitching of Holt Jones, who went 5 1/3. And it was funny, you know, Monty Lee said after the game that they weren't really looking necessarily for him to go 5 1/3, but they kept him in there just because he was throwing a shutout, and they kept him in there, and he was able to get them a couple of times through the order, which was nice for them.
All right, let me remind you to get your bracket in to the Sports Talk Challenge for 2018, part of the ESPN Tournament Challenge organization. Our group is Sports Talk Bracket 2018. We're putting our brackets in there, and so we'll share with you what we think is going to happen, not pick by pick, but maybe we'll do region by region and tell you what we think is going to happen. Of course, you have until tomorrow to get your bracket in. It'll be locked in, and you'll be set, and we'll see who does the best. As far as our poll question of the week, at our website, sportstalksc.com, it deals with Clemson and the NCAA tournament. How far do you think Clemson will go? The majority of voters thus far, about 39%, say they'll make it to the second round. 28% say one and done. 23% predict the Sweet 16. 6% say the Tigers will make the Final Four.
You know, it's odd. I hate to say like I'm hedging my bet, but I see anything in between them getting to the Elite Eight versus losing on day one. Like it could be any number of things, and it really boils down to the fact that we really just don't know which Clemson Tiger team is going to show up, because they've looked good in games without Dante Grantham, and they've also had games where they settle for too many perimeter jump shots and they don't fall, and they are one and done going in on offensive possessions. And to me, they need to play efficiently from all 5 spots on the floor, not just the guard position, in order to win in the NCAA tournament.
Dangerous first opponent for them.
Yes.
Dangerous first opponent. The more I read about New Mexico State, you know, this is the 6th time in 7 years that they've made the tournament. And they play in a relatively weak league in the WAC.
But they're battle-tested.
They are battle-tested. 2nd year in a row in the tournament. Again, a very good defensive team, a good rebounding team, can shoot from the floor relatively well. Not so well from the foul line. Maybe you just put them on the line and hedge your bet there. But I think this is a very dangerous first game for the Tigers.
But what scares you about them is 2 things you hear: 2 fifth-year seniors and a junior point guard. It's something about – doesn't Virginia have 2 fifth-year seniors? It's something about those old guys that they get in the tournament. They know how to carve you up slowly.
Well, you hear more and more coaches talk about age. I remember going back earlier this year when Frank Martin was setting up the game with Clemson and comparing the 2 teams, and he said they have an older backcourt, much like you had last year. The older backcourt they had 4 seniors last year that had been together for 4 years. Makes a heck of a lot of difference. Clemson guys haven't been together that long, but they've been together long enough to where they kind of form that camaraderie, and you kind of know when one guy's going to go this way, where the other guy's going to be. It makes for a smoother ride in terms of execution, especially on the offensive side.
They do have older guys, but the one thing that they do not have is they do not have a lot of NCAA tournament experience. Only Marquise Reed, Mark Donnell, and David Scara are the players have had NCAA tournament experience, and all at different places, not Clemson.
All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number here on Sports Talk. Our lines are currently open. If you want to grab one, do so. We'll get right to you. Be right back.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
All right, Sports Talk here on a Wednesday night. Very busy show for you as always. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com. And on Twitter, follow us at SportsTalkSC. We always welcome new signees to our ever-growing family of wonderful, thoughtful, courteous, and kind Twitter followers.
You talking about our followers?
Hey, while you're doing all that online, take a moment and check out foundersfcu.com. You can learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. All right, 7-3, top of the sixth. USC on top of Harvard. The Citadel leading Richmond 4-2, top of the eighth. Quinnipiac has a 2-1 lead on the College of Charleston, bottom of the seventh. Presbyterian and North Carolina A&T, top of the fourth, tied at 3. Wofford with a 3-2 lead on Upstate, top of the fourth, and Greensboro 3-2 on Winthrop. Winthrop only 5-12, top of the eighth, and of course they haven't played a Big South game yet, but only 5-12 at this point. A couple of other notes of interest to you here on this Wednesday afternoon. USC's Asia Wilson, finalist for the 2018 Wade Trophy, one of 4 finalists, along with a player from Oregon, Sabrina, a player from Ohio State, Kelsey, we just go by the first name, and UConn's Katie Lou Samuelson. Sabrina Ionescu, huh? Yeah. Ohio State's Kelsey Mitchell, and UConn's Katie Lou Samuelson. Wilson's going to win a bunch of – she's already won one national award, and she's going to win a bunch more. And I mean, USC women, they can get to the Elite Eights riding her back. I mean, if she can just stay healthy, not come down with vertigo, sprain an ankle, anything like that, get her, they could ride her for 30 points, 12, 14 rebounds a game. I can see them getting all the way to Connecticut again up in Albany.
It should. And, you know, it's obvious that the teams that they will play on the road facing UConn, it'll look a lot like South Carolina's non-conference schedule. I think Virginia will give them a test, but I think that whatever they will see on the road to UConn will not compare to the test that they would have with the Huskies in basically their backyard.
And, of course, Harris is a key also. I think she gets overshadowed sometimes because just looking at women's basketball, there's not a tougher draw at point guard who can pull up on a dime and hit the 14-footer. She is tremendously good at that. And what makes it special is because she's able to do that, they don't know when she's going to slip it inside to Wilson for an easy layup. And so she's a valuable point guard on that team. What is she from? Indiana, I think she is. So she's tremendous as a sophomore point guard. And they'll have to build around her. And Herbert Harrigan has to be the second twin tower in that arrangement when she plays on the same at the same time that Wilson does.
All right, 800-956-7266. A few other notes. This afternoon, Julius Peppers will play another year with the Panthers. They signed him to a 1-year contract. It'll be his 10th season with the Panthers, his 17th in the NFL as a defensive end.
Crazy.
Amazing, amazing. So he will give them some part-time defensive end work because they usually run him in there in rushing situations. Frank Martin will not be sitting around doing nothing during this weekend's NCAA tournament games. He's going to be working with CBS and Turner in the studio over the weekend to provide his analysis of the games on TBS, CBS, TNT, and True TV. He'll be in there on Saturday and Sunday.
Not the first time he's done that. He's awful good at it.
Yeah, I think he did it
a couple of years ago.
Didn't he do it also before coming to South Carolina?
Yes,
do it that year?
And they kept poking him about the job, and he never would say anything.
Right. He had not announced it. It had not been announced yet, but everybody was talking about it. Big news in NASCAR. A couple of pieces of big news. The biggest of the news is Jimmy Johnson and the 48 team of Hendrick Motorsports will be parting ways with Lowe's after this season. Lowe's has been the sponsor since 2001, will not return after this year. So that is, wow, that's one of the few remaining mega sponsorships where it was pretty much
iconic.
Well, yeah, and like, today they change sponsors a lot of times on a car per race.
Right.
And Lowe's was pretty much on his car all the time.
Very consistent, yeah.
So sorry to see that go by the boards. 83 wins, 7 Cup Series championships. The other piece of news today is that
something that Lowe's wanted, or is that something that Jimmy wanted? Is that
I'm sure it was a business decision by Lowe's.
Probably.
I would imagine so.
Interesting.
The other piece of news is a company is coming back. Bush is coming back to sponsor the Pole Award.
Head for the mountains.
So it'll be the Bush Pole. Remember how it used to always be the Bush Pole?
Yes.
Be the Bush Pole Award in Monster Energy, NASCAR Cup Series. And that will be a good fit. Of course, Anheuser-Busch first sponsored the Pole Award 40 years ago and was with them a long, long time. So that's good news there. Coastal Carolina baseball, junior Zach Bierman had 4 homers and 9 RBIs last week. He was named the Sun Belt Baseball Player of the Week.
So we got a beer and a beer man.
Yes.
Interesting.
And I think we are up to date on the notes there. So let's take a look at our brackets here for a moment. So go ahead and break yours down as far as your regional finalists, and how did you get to your Final Four?
Well, I'll start in the South region. I like Virginia coming out of that region. Among the upsets I have in that region, I have 12-seeded Davidson beating Kentucky in that region, and I also have Texas as the 10 seed getting past Nevada in the opening round there. I've got Tennessee in the Elite Eight losing to Virginia in that. As far as the East region, which is Villanova's region, I have Villanova getting out of that, but I also have Texas Tech getting to the Elite Eight in there. I have St. Bonaventure upsetting Florida in the opening round because, again, trying to get one of those teams that wins in the first 4 in through another game as well. I have West Virginia beating Wichita State also to get to the Sweet 16, but losing ultimately to Villanova. I like Clemson in the Midwest region to get all the way to the Elite Eight, where they lose to Michigan State. I have Charleston beating New Mexico State, then losing to Clemson. I've got Clemson beating Kansas because I can not in good taste, pick Kansas.
Right.
I just don't like
Kansas. You do
Kansas.
let your personal feelings get involved here.
A little
I know
bit.
I do. I mean, I tend to lean towards teams that I've seen, teams that I know a little bit more than some others. And then I like to take a flyer here and there.
Yeah, and my flyer is on Houston in the West region. I like them getting all the way to the Sweet 16 before losing to North Carolina. I have North Carolina beating Xavier, getting themselves to the Final Four. I've got Virginia and Villanova in the final with Villanova as your national champion.
Villanova, okay, so wise pick. What do you say, Pro?
Well, I went with the teams I think that have the toughest guards. And so when I look at it, I'll go to the Sweet 16. I will tell you this. Clemson, I have Clemson beating New Mexico State and Auburn, but losing to Kansas. On the other lines, I have Villanova, West Virginia, Texas Tech. I like they will beat Florida to reach the Sweet 16. Arkansas, I have upsetting, and I think that probably people will say it's an upsetting Purdue to get to Texas Tech and beating Texas Tech to get to the Elite Eight.
I don't even have Arkansas out of the first round.
Michigan, because you don't like their coach.
Yes.
Michigan State, I have in Kansas in what will be a tremendous matchup.
Yes.
In the Elite Eight, and Arkansas and Villanova. And I just think Villanova's guards are too crafty for Arkansas's press, and they move on to the Final Four. On the other side of the bracket, I do have UVA getting all the way to the Elite Eight, but being upset by a tougher team, a grittier team in Cincinnati. And then on the other side of the bracket, I was looking at the city of Cincinnati again because Xavier has tough guards, and I think Xavier upsets Gonzaga in the Sweet 16 and moves on to play Michigan.
Really?
And Michigan, I have upsetting North Carolina in the Sweet 16.
So you have Xavier, Cincinnati, in
and
your
I have
Final Four?
Xavier, Cincinnati, Villanova, Michigan State, then Xavier, Michigan State, and Tom Izzo cutting down the net.
It'd be rather awkward for him.
Well, I hate to do this to people. You're gonna have to wait through the break to get what really is the official Sports Talk bracket, the one that has all the thoughts and
we did what the NCAA tournament committee did. We actually had them give the pertinent information first, and then you wait for the manufactured drama with corn.
Is coming up after the break here on Sports Talk. Don't go away. Okay, the moment you've been waiting for, the great unveil of the corn bracket for 2018. This is what everybody will be shooting for this year. So here you go.
Great kazoo.
If you've been waiting for some advice, take this at your own risk, of course.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Let's start in the South, my favorite part of the country. And to my Sweet 16, I've got Virginia and Arizona facing off, and I'm taking Arizona to the Elite Eight.
Oh.
I just think that Sean Miller is on a mission.
Is
Wow.
Got the best paid team in basketball. Tennessee and Cincinnati, lower part of that bracket.
You took a shot there, did you?
Like Rick Barnes. I know education in South Carolina is not good enough for him, but I like Rick Barnes, like his team. Tennessee and Arizona. It's where it ends for the Vols. I got Arizona to the Final Four. In the West, I'm going to go with Missouri against my
Better judge.
Yeah.
Missouri.
I'm going to go with Missouri.
How far?
Well, I got him in the Sweet 16 to start here. I'm going to the Sweet 16. I'm not going to do pick by pick. But I got Gonzaga, Missouri, a 4-8 in the West, in the Sweet 16, and Michigan and North Carolina.
I just want to make sure that we point out that the Missouri alum barely has him getting out of the first round, and you are the one who has him in the Sweet 16.
I just think with Porter coming back,
that
makes a big difference. He's a star.
Even though Barnett is suspended for the DUI.
Yeah. I think Porter makes a big difference.
Okay. You know he went 5 for 17 in his first game.
Well, it's his first game. Come on. Let's give him a break. Missouri and North Carolina in the West Final. It pains me to push the Blue Bellies forward, but I must in all good conscience.
You got them in the Elite Eight.
So I've got North Carolina and Arizona on that side. On the other side, in the East, I've got Villanova, Wichita State, Texas Tech, and Purdue in the Sweet 16. Greg Marshall not getting past Villanova. You know, Texas Tech impressed the heck out of me when they played in Columbia the entire season. They're good. I got them getting past Purdue, and then I got Villanova to the Final Four. In the Midwest, I've got Clemson and Auburn meeting. Tigers are going to advance to the Sweet 16.
They're both Tigers.
Oh, boy, Eagle. Oh,
they're both Tigers. Which Tigers?
That would be the Auburn Tigers.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Against NC State. I just have a hunch about NC State. That's my hunch. Getting past Kansas, Michigan and Duke, the bottom of that bracket, Auburn and Michigan meeting in the Elite Eight, and Michigan going to the Final Four. So I've got North Carolina, Michigan, kind of a rematch of what was the year, the timeout year. North Carolina, Michigan, Arizona, Villanova. I've got Arizona, Villanova in your national championship. Ladies and gentlemen, your national champions by a score of 82-79 will be the Wildcats.
Interesting. We both have the Wildcats.
They're both Wildcats.
Yeah.
The Wildcats of Arizona.
Yeah.
See, I was waiting for somebody to say which Wildcats. You guys aren't paying attention. Arizona, a 4 seed, beating Villanova, a 1 seed.
Arizona going that far.
Arizona to win. They're a very talented team. They've got a lot of pros on that team. I think Sean Miller is an excellent coach who was stung by what happened earlier in the year, and he's going to have something to prove. He's got the old chip on the shoulder. I think his players play the same way. They got the best big man in the game.
Yeah.
I like Arizona. All right, 800-956. So I've got Arizona. You've got
Villanova.
And you've got
Michigan State.
Okay. 800-956-7266. Bill in Lancaster. Thank you for waiting, sir. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Thank you for having me. I enjoy your show a great deal. I make every effort not to miss your show. It's my favorite show on radio or TV.
And you are our favorite person of the day.
Thank you so much, my good friend. I have to call in to defend my good friend Pro. Last week, I felt like you guys chastised him too much for a statement he made.
Oh,
he was talking about I forget the teams now, but he felt like they were looking forward to the next game, a team they had to play, and I think he was chastised a little too hard for thinking that. But I can attest to the fact that does get in your head. It does affect you, because 55 years ago, along that line, we played 3 years straight. We played a team, and 2 out of 3 years before we played them, we lost the teams that we should have beaten soundly, but we didn't because, truthfully, we were thinking about that next team we were going to play because they were always well prepared. They had a good team. They played dirty, and they
don't know
different.
who we is, Bill.
Beg your pardon?
Who is we?
Which team were you playing for?
Well, I'd rather not say because I don't want to get anything riled up. That was Lancaster High School.
You were playing. You were playing for Lancaster High School.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So 55 years ago, was Johnny Roscoe your coach?
He was not. That was way before Johnny Roscoe, my good friend.
I hope he's listening.
Way before him.
Hope he's on his tractor somewhere on his farm over there in Lancaster. He'd be upset with me.
Who were you talking about, Pro, looking ahead? Who were you talking about?
No, I was talking to our friend from Missouri, saying that Missouri lost that Georgia game because I had the feeling that they.
They're looking ahead to South Carolina, the women's tournament, and the women's basketball tournament in the SEC. Yeah, I don't know.
Might have been it. I think that might have been it. But you guys kind of chastised him about that. But I know these guys got in our heads, and then naturally they just beat the dickens out of us. And we just couldn't do anything with them. But we were thinking about that team the week before.
So are you saying that we were not accepting Pro's?
That's right. And Pro is
explanation.
He is an extremely intelligent person. So are you guys. Now. I'm not
who do you think?
that.
Well, since you're bringing it up, who do you think is the most intelligent of the three of us? You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Just your opinion.
Oh, I know that. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. In different areas, all three of you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But who has?
I'm going to chastise you two though for last night for bantering on about that. Whatever it was you carried on about for 10 or 12, 14 minutes last night. That was uncalled for. I wanted to call in and tell you to be quiet.
Well, that's what happens when you have two people who are passionate about their positions.
That's great. I really enjoyed it. I really did. It takes all kind.
Listen, Bill. It's hard being right all the time. I mean, that's
you wouldn't know, but you wouldn't know about that though.
And when you have to, Pro is correct. The ones of us that are still alive, I guarantee you, will tell you that team got in our head, and the coaches too. Those that are still alive, because they told us that we were letting that team get in our head.
I think it was the point of the discussion. I think was semantically the fact that you were trying to say that Missouri didn't want to face South Carolina because they didn't want that fight. Mm-hmm. I think what Bill's trying to say is that they were looking ahead too much to Missouri. I would agree more with that point. You seem to think that they didn't want to play Missouri.
Yeah, well, see, the body language tells you things.
Or they didn't want to play South Carolina, excuse me.
Because, for instance, certain teams like Mississippi State, why is it that Mississippi State played Connecticut so tough, and then they could turn around and play South Carolina and miss layups?
Well, don't you think they had a bit of an emotional letdown kind of thing? Yeah.
But
right in the same place I did.
Oh God,
that's pretty scary.
But why the emotional letdown when it's a team that you have not beaten before? I mean, Mississippi State.
I think it's just human nature.
The only time
you kind of feel like you climbed that mountain when you beat Connecticut.
I'm to say there's a lot of release.
There's a mountain right in your own conference that you hadn't climbed yet, and that's why they were celebrating when they beat them in Starkville this year, because they've had a hard time beating South Carolina.
I'm not saying that. You were not correct in asserting that they were looking ahead to Missouri, or that Missouri was looking ahead rather to South Carolina. I think they wanted that fight. I think they wanted it very, very badly, and I think because of the fact that they wanted it so badly, they overlooked Georgia.
I think if you talk to them, they wanted it, but there's something about the subconscious that I look at in players' body language when they say one thing, but it's just like
their actions mean another.
That's like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning said, we'd like to play New England. But then suddenly things he never does, he used to do erratic things when the Patriots are on the other side of the field.
Well, I mean, it's because when you're playing a great opponent, you tend to sometimes overreact to certain things. The pressure kind of gets to you, even to the most seasoned of us. All right, we'll be right back.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
All right, welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, 800-956-7266 if you'd like to join us tonight. Coming up later, Dabo Swinney following the Tiger scrimmage today, USC offensive guard Zach Bailey, and SC Wild at the bottom of the second hour here tonight on Sports Talk. I want to remind you that 2.5 million children and adults suffer traumatic brain injuries annually. March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. To learn more and to help the Brain Injury Alliance research, educate, and advocate for survivors of brain injury, please visit their website, www.biaofsc.com, biaofsc.com. Okay, we know what tomorrow is. It's busy business day for Las Vegas and other points in between all around the NCAA basketball tournament. And we welcome in with some knowledge and maybe a few Sterling picks. I'm not so sure. Our good buddy, Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. Hello once again.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get over the wax job Clemson put on Miami. So it's been a tough couple months.
Sorry about that, Lee.
But you forgive, right? This does not carry over into your thought process.
No. But it's tough when you see those colors. You know, you go to even a Clemson basketball game when they play Miami. It's tough. It's tough to get it out of your mind when it's over by halftime.
And you know, the two teams that are playing in that game, Clemson and New Mexico State, they have one common opponent. It is Miami.
Right.
And they both won by 9 points over your beloved Hurricanes. So you have a common connection there to that game.
I think that game was poorly officiated, if I remember correctly.
Which one?
The Clemson-Miami game. They're all poorly officiated when you lose, right?
Exactly. Hey, before you give us some prop bets or whatever you're going to be passing along, how can folks get all your information going into the tournament?
Well, just go to ParamountSports.com. We here at our offices, we've watched every team at least twice, and that's tough to find games that are out there for teams like Lipscomb and Radford, but we've seen every team at least twice, and some teams 12 to 14 times. So normally it's 347 for the tournament. We marked it down to 247, and little added bonus for listening into this segment. If they use coupon code SAVE100, you can get the entire tournament for just $147, and it will include my NCAA tournament selections, the NIT tournament selections, also two other tournaments, College Insider, and what's the other tournament they call now?
CBI?
Yeah, the CBI. Is that the one you got to pay to be in?
Yeah. Well, in other words, if the ball is bouncing, you're working it.
Yeah, you're in.
I just want to point out that the foul disparity in the Clemson-Miami game was only 2, and Miami shot one more free throw than Clemson did in that game.
Yeah, they probably at the end of the game now they even that thing out. Yeah. That's what they usually do. So
just want to put that on the record.
Okay.
All right. So what do you want to share with us tonight about the tourney?
Why don't we go each region? Give you some teams I like and dislike, and maybe a game in the first round that I like in each region.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
South.
At your play. Oh yeah, go ahead. South region.
Well, I love Virginia. I loved them. I thought they were the only number 1 seed that I do 2 brackets that I put in both, but had to take them out of one of the brackets after that injury to DeAndre Hunter. I mean, I went to the game they played here, and that pack line defense is scary good. One of the few players that, he's 6'7", but has a wingspan of 7'2", that can switch out on all 5 positions. So I think his loss on defense is even more felt than his 9 points per game scoring. So they're still really good. They're going to have to shorten the bench. Also, like Arizona here, 2 teams I discount. Cincinnati, they just don't shoot free throws well, and Miami will really miss Bruce Brown, who averages 7 rebounds a game from the shooting guard position. So they'll miss him for the first weekend. I think if they're lucky enough to get by Loyola Chicago, they're going to get waxed by Tennessee in the second game. First round game, I'm going to take Georgia State plus the points against Cincinnati.
Okay, let's go to the East.
This is, I think, the weakest region here, and I think Villanova got a great draw here. Still a really good team, but they're led by Jalen Brunson, who just wills his team to victories. I mean, he will not be denied. So they're not the same team they were the last couple of years, but still good. Don't love Purdue here. Their slow front line. They could be vulnerable here against a couple opponents. Texas Tech, you're looking for a team that no one's talking about that could make it to the Final Four. Texas Tech underrated coach Chris Beard. And if guard Keenan Evans is healthy, look out. First round game, I like, believe it or not, Stephen F. Austin against Texas Tech, who's one of my sleeper teams, but they'll keep it close. They'll keep it within 11.5 points. That sets up perfectly if Texas Tech wins by 5 to 8 points for them to go on and maybe do some damage. Second round game, maybe Arkansas against Purdue, because Arkansas has such a quick and athletic front line.
All right, very good. Let's do the West next.
Well, the West is probably the most balanced region. Don't love Xavier, but 2 through 5, look out. North Carolina can beat anyone or lose to anyone. They like to play up tempo. But the strange thing is Joel Berry's been very inconsistent. A lot of really good games and some bad ones. He's had a bunch of clunkers where he shot like 3 for 13 from the field. So I don't have them going to the Final Four, but two teams that I like a lot. Michigan at number 3. No one hotter in the country. John Beilein, really good coach, in-game coach here. And Gonzaga, they're my favorite here. I like Gonzaga. They finally got over the hump last year, and their out-of-conference schedule is always very good. I like Gonzaga. First-round game, I'm going to look at San Diego State against Houston. I think it's a one-possession game, and it's a 4-point spread, so I'll take San Diego State plus the points.
But you like Michigan and Gonzaga to get to the regional finals.
Correct.
All right, Midwest, where we've got Clemson and College of Charleston in the mix.
Yeah, and I like College of Charleston. That's going to be my first-round selection there. I really think that they can give Auburn fits here. I wouldn't be shocked if they win the game here. Clemson, after the injury to Grantham, just not the same team. I mean, just watch them. Just look at the energy. And they finished 7-6 down the stretch. This is my region where there's 4 teams that do not belong in this tournament: Syracuse and Arizona State, and then Oklahoma. How do you put in a team that won 1 game in February? I mean, they struggled down the stretch. I think they lost 8 of the last 11 games, so they don't belong in the tournament. And a team that plays absolutely no defense. They don't even wave it at guys when they go by many times for layups and dunks. North Carolina State, I think only one of the top 3 teams can win this. And I don't love Kansas with a 4-guard offense. I think it's going to come down to Duke and Michigan State, and my money's on Michigan State to get to the Final Four.
Very good. That sounds like some very well thought out picks. Probably none will work out that way, but that's the way the tournament is.
Hey, it's tough. You know, things can change. You can get an upset in the first and second round, and a team, like George Mason that one time, they got some favorable draws all the way through. So this could be that year where a team, below a 7 seed can get to the Final Four.
Very good. Well, look, we'll check back with you later in the tournament if you want.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Lee Sterling, some Sterling basketball knowledge on the NCAA tournament.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So he likes College of Charleston, maybe even straight up over Auburn.
I mean, they're down again. They're kind of the same problem that Missouri has. They're basically down to their last 7 or 8 scholarship players, and they don't have Anthony McLemore, their rim protector. It could be an open season in that lane for Cheeling.
Well, with the extra time out you get in the tournament, you can kind of narrow it down to 8 to 7.
Absolutely. I mean, let's face it, you're only playing 4-minute shifts out there, and you're catching a break. So, and these guys are in great shape at this point of the season. Maybe a little nicked up here and there. All right, South Carolina has extended the lead on Harvard. Now it's 8-3 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Campbell just picked up an RBI for the Gamecocks, so they are spanking the Crimson over at Founders Park. Top of the hour break, and we'll be back.